Welcome back to another Prime News Gaming video, and today we have a host of Xbox news for you, from games to next iterations of consoles to the Series S dilemma and more. So without further ado, let's get going. Enlisted, an MMO squad-based shooter set in World War II, set to feature authentic battlefields and battles from the wars which properly simulate the scale of war, much like grand operations in Battlefield 5, but on a much bigger scale, are said to be the showcase here for this game. You'll have unlockable characters which will come with their own skill sets, you'll have weapons which will again have unique stats to keep you going. The game will be a timed exclusive on the Xbox Series X and S. It was originally, to my understanding, supposed to be coming out multi-platform, but it seems for the time being this will be a timed exclusive on the Xbox platform, so if you do want to pick this up, that is going to be the place to be. This will come on the PlayStation 5 most likely down the line. It does say that they will be releasing it elsewhere once the exclusivity period is over. We don't know how long the exclusivity period is, but it doesn't look too bad. The alpha footage you're seeing on screen right now looks pretty sweet, but of course it is alpha footage, it's unpolished, and honestly the footage you're seeing here is actually from 2018, so expect a lot more improvement to what you're seeing here. Enlisted will also support advanced ray tracing software called Proprietary Ray Traced Global Illumination System, which will optimize the game for the Xbox Series X. Basically, it's going to have some form of ray tracing. Next up, we have Watch Dogs. The Legion devs confirmed 4K 30 FPS and ray tracing for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. This is kind of disappointing because at the end of the day, I know people want 4K, but 30 FPS just shouldn't be what we're aiming for anymore. We should be aiming for 60 FPS or thereabouts every single time, and locking it at 30 FPS just is really bad. It's not even clear if there's a performance mode where you can run it at 2K and have it upscaled to 4K and have it at 60 FPS. The 60 FPS option should be a standard feature in the next generation consoles, and the fact that it's not is really disappointing. So to me, Ubisoft, this is a big disappointment, and honestly I'm hoping the PC version is going to be 60 FPS because I actually am interested in this game, considering it is based in the city I live in. But it looks like I'm going to be skipping this on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and hopefully the PC version will run at 60 FPS with lower graphics if needed. To me, 60 FPS is a lot more important than 4K, so I really think Ubisoft dropped the ball on this one. I know they wanted it to look amazing, and yeah, sure, 4K 30 FPS does have ray tracing, but I'd be happy for them to drop the ray tracing if it meant that I'd get that 30 FPS. So hopefully they'll have a performance mode for this and people can actually experience the game the way it's supposed to be at full speed. You know, it just shouldn't be a thing anymore, and it's sad that it actually still is, with developers aiming for 30 FPS because they want their games to look as sparkly as ever. Next we come to the story about the Xbox Series S holding back next generation gaming, according to multiple developers and sources. And with that, more and more developers are basically coming out now and basically saying that's a whole load of baloney, and any developer that's worth their pedigree should actually just suck it up and then, stop complaining. During a recent interview with Peter Kolar and David Kolacheka from Bohemia Interactive, who are the team behind Arma 3, they had the following to say. The important thing is that the CPU hasn't been downgraded, so the Series S will not limit the potential scope or features of games, which is really important because this is the part here that dictates that games will not be held back. The Series S shouldn't have any issues with the same games on lower resolutions, maybe some adjusted graphic effects, which is to be expected because the graphics card within the Series S isn't as powerful, but it won't hold the generations back. And for people that are complaining and saying that the Series S is holding gaming back and holding next generation gaming back, it's sad when PC developers are catering for a graphics card from, £100–150 all the way up to like £1,500, and console developers are now moaning that they have to do the same thing, because they have to do a little bit of extra work to, make sure it runs at the aforementioned frame rate. This won't hold gaming back. This just outlines lazy development. I'm sorry, but that's essentially what it is. And anyone still believing that the Xbox Series S will hold development back, you know, I don't know what else to say to you. There are more and more developers coming out today that actually argue against the fact that it's not going to do that. This is the whole purpose of scaling, and that is what scaling is designed to do. It reduces the fidelity of the game until it's running at the desired frame rate. It doesn't impact anything. This has been something that has been happening for the past, what, 5-6 years now on consoles? It's been a common thing on current gen hardware. Just look at Monster Hunter, where it has the 4K option or the performance option, and there's more games that offer that option. So it's not something new, but something that's actually been in play for quite some time. It hasn't held the current generation back, so it won't hold the next generation back. Finally, Phil Spencer confirms Microsoft is already working on the next Xbox, or next iteration of the Xbox, whatever that means. When Phil Spencer was asked about the future of the console, he had the following to say: "I think, like you've seen in past generations, that we will iterate on hardware. We've already started, right? Our team doesn't go away when we kind of lock the spec." He continued to say, "Some of it is cost. That's always the important thing. How do you drive down the cost of the console in the parts that are there, but also just looking at the areas in terms of what are the next iterations that you might do." So whether this is actually talking about Xbox Series X Slim or an Xbox Series X X like the Xbox One X, or the Xbox Series X2, whatever it's going to be called, we don't know at present, but it does seem like he is talking about a next gen console. But it wouldn't be a surprise if they were working on a beefed up version of the Series X, much like we had with the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, the PS4, the PS4 Pro. I assume Sony will probably be in the same boat trying to do something like that. In all fairness, I don't think it's needed this generation. The consoles are powerful enough to take us through, but we'll see how that goes out. Microsoft are already underway, and it's no surprise. The moment you release one, you're already working on the next one, but it's good to get confirmation that Phil Spencer is still excited about releasing consoles going forward. When he was asked recently about if he thinks that the next generation after the Series X and the PS5 will be hardware based or cloud based, he said both, and he believes that there is still a market for hardware specific consoles and that people still want that option and alternative, so they are still in the hardware console market. That's pretty much all I have for you today in regards to the Xbox news. I hope you found this informative and enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remain legend.